Welcome to The Right Crowd. This is the very second weekend that The Right Crowd is being debuted on Facebook and YouTube, and I am so very happy to kick off the weekend with a wonderful, beautiful array of authors for a very unique panel called Interactive Read-Alongs. I'm so very excited to bring these authors and their children's books that have that extra special, unique element of interactiveness that you can give to your students, families, this whole dynamic that's just really, really interesting. But I won't say too much. The authors are going to give their own insight on their books. It's going to be really cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I can already see a couple people joining on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so very much if you're joining us in Facebook land and over on YouTube. And if you are watching, then drop a comment, say hi, say hello. This is going to be a panel, so it is going to be Q&A oriented. So if you have a question or if you want to say hi, go ahead and drop a comment and I can bring it up on screen. We'll say hi. The authors will answer your questions and it's going to be a really fun time. So to kick off the Interactive Read-Alongs panel, I would like to explain, what The Right Crowd is. If this is your first time joining The Right Crowd, hello, welcome. And essentially, The Right Crowd is a virtual author expo that is going to be taking place every single Saturday and Sunday in October at 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. And each panel is going to be talking about different genres, different topics, different authors, and special guests are going to be talking about their books and literacy and their projects and all sorts of different things. And, with our current world situation, it is difficult to still get out there and, meet readers and meet families and connect over literacy in that in-person way. But The Right Crowd is special in that we can all be apart and staying safe, but we still come together and celebrate our books, celebrate our authors, celebrate literacy in a really fun and innovative way. So if you're new, welcome. If this isn't your first time and you're coming again, good to see you again. And remember, every Saturday and every Sunday, this is happening in October, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's going to continue to be a lot of fun. But enough about that. I'm your host, Katelynn Rentería, and I am joined by a beautiful array of authors to talk about their interactive children's books. And one by one, if you all could just give a really quick shout out of your name and your book title, we'll get into more in-depth descriptions later. But as people are joining on YouTube and Facebook, if you want to say hi, give your book title, we can start with Miss Patty York Raymond.
Hello, everyone. It's so good to be here with you. My name is Patty York Raymond, and I have 3 books out. It's Too Windy, and the ABCs to Ranching, as well as Aspire/Aspirar. And I'll pass it on over to David.
Hey, guys. My name is David Norec. I'm the author of The Adventures of Exo and Psy. Good to have you guys.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Leija. I am the author of TK's First Lesson, the first book in a series that I'm working on for children.
Very nice. Thank you all again for joining this panel. I was so very excited to have you all come and talk about your books, and it's been forever since I've seen you all in person, and it's so nice to see you here and interact, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I do see our Facebook numbers climbing, and I'm glad that you all could give a quick shout out of your name and your work. And so as more people are joining, I would like you all to go ahead and give a more in-depth explanation of yourself, maybe some background, personal, professional, and a little bit about your books if you'd like. Again, starting with Patty York Raymond.
Okay. Thank you. I want to begin first by thanking you, Katelynn. This is a wonderful platform for us, and we get a chance to see each other virtually, if not in person. So thank you very much for putting this on for us. I'm originally from Laredo, Texas. I live in McAllen, and It's Too Windy. Let me see if you can see this. It's Too Windy, illustrated by Sudipta Dasgupta. It's about a brother and sister who come in from out of town to visit their grandparents and play with their cousins. The problem in the story is that grandma doesn't let them get into the pool, so they need to try to figure out if unsatisfactory weather conditions that she cites, as per the title, It's Too Windy, is the real reason why she doesn't let them get into the pool, or maybe she has an ulterior motive. So that's It's Too Windy. There is a song that goes with it. It's entitled That's What My Grandma Said, and that's what makes it interactive. It was written by myself and Erika Vasos. In fact, we have written 3 songs together. And Eddie Cavazos is the one that sings That's What My Grandmother Said. And the ABCs to Ranching is about a little boy who goes to the ranch to help his dad with the ranch chores and gets into a whole lot of trouble. It's an ABC book, but it's a story from beginning to end, and the reader gets an opportunity to learn about ranch life. And the illustrator is Nancy Foley Oster. And the song for this one is entitled Take Me to the Ranch. It's a country western song. It's sung by Nathan Mathis. And finally, and I don't have the cover for that, it's Aspirar, and it should be out in bookstores by the end of this year. And it's about a daughter and her mother that go on weekend adventures. And her interests and curiosity, they're piqued in terms of the different things that they're doing. It inspires her to think about different careers that she can go into. So it's a fun book, and it's very inspirational. The song is called Aspire, and it's sung by Julissa Figueroa, and it is a bilingual book. So I'm really excited about that coming out soon.
I'm very excited about it too. And I know you don't have the book cover like in a physical copy, but I can show the audience really quickly. This is what it'll look like, and in both English and Spanish. And I'm very excited for it as well. Just when you sent the book covers, I was like, oh, they're beautiful. So I'm excited for that.
Yes, I do want to say that Dr. Isaías Rodriguez did do the translation for Aspirar. So I'm really thankful for that.
Wonderful. And Mr. David Norec, if you'd like to give a background on yourself and more about the adventures of Exo and Psy.
Thank you. So this is the book, The Adventures of Exo and Psy. There we go. And in 2013, I lost a brother to diabetes. 2014, I lost a sister to diabetes. Oh. And from then, I was a teacher, a middle school teacher, and I was driving home from work. And simple prayer to the Lord, you know, if you want me to do something different with my life, put it in my heart. And the idea to write this book, this children's book, The Adventures of Exo and Psy, which is a play on the word exercise. Exo is a little boy, and his dog Psy, a little dog, little Jack Russell Terrier. They live in a town called Obesity, for obesity, where the mayor is diabetes or diabetes. In this first book, the evil or the bad guy is Chip and his dog Nacho, which represent potato chips. And together they're trying to steal everyone's healthy snacks and force everybody to eat potato chips. And so as the adventure ensues, there's actual exercises or exercises that readers have to do. So by the end of reading the book, you get an actual exercise workout, all while learning about eating right and staying healthy. And so yeah, I'm love for everybody to exercise together.
I love it. And I love just like the play on words with it. Like, you know, children are going to see like Exo and Psy, like that's so cool. And then like the deeper meaning of like those symbolism and everything. It's so brilliant. Like every time I see like the synopsis and hear you speak about it, I'm like, that was so good. Like that was so beautiful. You like brought it all together. And Mr. David Leija, if you'd like to tell us a little bit about yourself and your story, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Once again, like Patty stated earlier, I'd like to thank Katelynn for creating this wonderful platform to showcase all the great talent that's down here in the Valley, South Texas. It's a wonderful idea, and I'm totally honored to be a part of it. Like I said before, my name is David Leija. I am a native here of the Valley from San Benito, and I'm the president of TKOmovement.com. And in 2018, in order to continue the fight against bullying and a lot of the negativity that's going on in the world, especially now in today's political climate, I came out with the idea to write my first children's book. So it would give me the opportunity to really reach children on a serious level. And my book, TK's First Lesson, is for kindergarten to about 4th, 5th grade. And the meat of it is the story being told is diversity and inclusion, a complicated subject, but I think a story that needs to be told today. And it's told through the eyes of 2 twin tiger brothers, TK and Toby. And right here you can see TK, this is the little stuffed animal here, who the main character is based on. And it's to show the kids, it's not as much of a physical interaction as it is more of an interaction mentally and emotionally. I work on the brain, and the heart. Show the little ones, that we're all the same. We are all special. We all have a purpose to be here, and that we can live together in peace and harmony.
Thank you. And I think that another interactive element of your book is that you have an anti-bullying pledge, no? At the end, that the children are able to pledge to say yes.
Yes, at the end of it, it's something like the anti-bullying is something that we're really passionate about at TKO. So I implemented it within the book itself. So at the end of the book, each book has its own anti-bullying pledge that mom and dad can sit down with their little one so they can make the pledge.
Very nice. Very nice. And that just adds another level of, it's one thing to read the story and you bring the characters to life so well and the interaction, like you said, with the mind and the heart, but then to actually physically say, this is something I will do. This is something I will try to uphold and complete. It's a beautiful message overall, all around. But
yes, and not forgetting real quick, all the beautiful artwork within the book was done by a wonderful artist right here, also from the Rio Grande Valley. Her name is Stevie Cortez.
Wonderful. And I love the illustrations in the book as well. They're really, really well done. And I see our Facebook numbers and YouTube numbers continue to climb. If you're watching, thank you for tuning in. We're just about to jump into the Q&A. So the authors are going to give insights on themselves. They're going to answer questions. We're going to get into, their writing process, the book's messages, but also a little bit about themselves. And I'm excited to have fun with that. I'll be asking y'all some you got to scratch your head, think about it questions, and I'm excited. And so if you are watching, leave a comment, say hi, and ask a question if you have one. The authors are more than happy to ask any questions the audience may have. We want to make this interactive read-alongs panel as interactive as possible with the audience, engaging with you, answering your questions. So feel free to leave a comment and say hello. So moving on to the pre-written questions that I have. And again, audience members, if you have a question or want to say hi, feel free to just drop a comment. First of all, I want to ask, where are you tuning in from? Because I know we've got Rio Grande Valley representation here, but where in the RGV are you tuning in from? Starting with yourself, Patty?
McAllen. I'm here in McAllen.
Very nice. And David Norec?
Mission, Texas.
Very nice. And yourself, Mr. Leija?
San Benito.
Very nice. We're neighbors. I'm in Harlingen, so we're right next to each other. But I think it's really cool. This is, again, a virtual event, but we're in all little pockets of the RGV, here, supporting, representing. So that's always really fun, too, just to find, oh, that's where I am, or, oh, that's right by me. And I just think it's really cool. We're all in our homes, separate, safe, but here we are having a really cool panel and really awesome discussion. So the first question I have for you, that really getting into some things, is what made you sit down and write those first words of your book? I know some of you all talked about it a little bit in your introduction, if you want to go a little bit more into detail, but did you set out to write this? You knew, I need to sit, I need to write, or was it a process and before you knew it, you had this completed thing that you knew could turn into a book? And Patty, if we want to start with you.
Sure. Well, I was an early childhood educator. And so, I just love the way children reacted to beautiful children's literature. And so that kind of inspired me every once in a while to write some stories. And they would get a kick out of them, but never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would become a published author. I didn't even save the stories. It wasn't until later when I retired and that was 2013, that I decided, you know what? Because I consider myself more of a storyteller, and I felt I had some stories to tell, and I wanted to go ahead and do that. So I had no excuses. I sat down and wrote it, and the rest is history. I took off and ran with it.
Very nice, very nice. And David Norec, your beginning journey of the Adventures of XO and Psy?
Yeah, I actually had written a novel, and I thought that was going to be the route that I was going to take because I always wanted to write, and then this just kind of fell on my lap. It just, I guess you can look at tragic circumstances, but I feel like that had to happen in order for this book to come about. So I didn't ever expect to write a children's book. I did expect to write a book, but not a children's book, and it's been a very different process because I've taught middle school and high school. And so, I don't know, it's just, it's kind of cool to go back to kind of like being a kid and thinking like that in order to write a children's book, something that's going to be entertaining like that. And so so that's how I began, and it's been very different experience and journey.
Very nice. And David Leija, what about yourself? The beginnings of TK's first lesson.
Well, the beginnings of TK's first lessons are tied directly to the beginnings of TKO, and that was in 2016. This whole idea was born from tragedy. I won't go into like a lot of detail, but there were two young ladies in 2016 that, because of bullying, they hurt themselves and ended up taking their own lives. So because of that, I came up with the idea for TKMovement.com to help spread a positive word. But through that, we had, it's a brand that we use to help people out and spread a positive message. But I was still missing something on how to really reach the kids, how to really touch them. It's not just about running around with a T-shirt, brand, and message. So in 2017, I was at one of the biggest anti-bullying gatherings in Houston, the Ronald McDonald Children's Festival. So when we were there, I was a guest with unbullyfree.org. So when we were there, their mascot is a big bear called Bully Bear. So Bully Bear was there, and he was running around, and the kids were like all over him, and I was like in awe of how the connection that he was making with the children. So I had an epiphany then, and I'm like, you know what? We need a mascot. So that's where the idea for TK the Tiger came out, because I was thinking, what's an animal that I can create, or a character that I can create that all children can relate to? And after going through all of Noah's Ark, I came out with the white Bengal tiger, because they're born differently. They're black and white, so I think that's the perfect character for anybody that feels that they might be different to relate to, even though he's really not different. So the character was born, but to take it a step further, I told myself, he's something that the children will relate to. I go, but how can I really touch children? And the most powerful weapon that I know is through literature, through a book. So that's where the idea, at the end of 2017, after coming up with a character, I said, you know what, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write a children's book, which all of my vice president and my teammates, they thought I was nuts because I've never written a book before. But I was like, you know what, it's something I'm going to do. So that's where the concept for TK's first lesson came out. And I ended up doing it. And now, God willing, I'm working on book number 2.
I love it. I love it so much. And I think it's nice to touch on the fact, that these ideas and these books can come about just in different ways. You don't have to sit down and say, all right, time to write a book and here's the plan. Like some things, just everything happens for a reason. And, it might be a difficult journey to get there. It might take some time to manifest. You might set out with a goal and it might turn into something completely different. But I think for aspiring writers and things, it's a nice sentiment of just, it happens. And if it's something you want to do, and if it's something that you have close to your heart, then absolutely it can happen, even if it manifests itself in an unconventional way that you didn't quite think it was going to go in that direction. But I did want to ask, with our current world situation where everything's a lot more virtual now, we're trying to, stay safe and distance and things. How has, our current world circumstances impacted your writing career or your author career? Has it, I know for myself, I'd love to say, I've written more than I ever have ever, staying home and everything. But, sometimes that's not the case. So have you been able to focus more on writing, or are you going more towards marketing or planning or resource creating? Or maybe you've discovered, another aspect of your author life that you can focus on? How has our current world situation impacted you all, if anyone wants to answer that question?
I was going to say that I've been able to pick up projects that I had put down. For example, I had It's Too Windy translated. So now it's on its way towards, becoming another book. So I'm really excited about that. And of course, Aspire and Aspirar, I've been working on that throughout. And the song, of course, that came out, which can be downloaded on any music platform, which is beautiful, beautiful, very motivational. And I've got 2 more books actually that are in the process of being translated, and they're entitled "There Was a Tenacious Teacher Who Swallowed a Sticker," and the other one is "The Sock Club." So hopefully in 2021, I'll be submitting those and getting them back out into the world. So it's very exciting. So I've been able to reflect and think about the stories that I want to continue to tell, or do I want to, go off on another path. So I'm still working with that, and I love the creative process. So it's given me some time to do that. Yeah,
I love it. I love it, especially the translations. That's so exciting. Like reaching a new audience, like with it, and sharing the stories in that way. That's exciting. That's awesome. David Norec, what about yourself?
Probably for me, the biggest thing was actually getting together with a personal trainer and making a video to go along with the book. Me reading the book and then her doing the actual exercises to go along with it, so that anybody can look at it can do the exercises and get a workout from it. So that's probably been the biggest thing. That's something I've always wanted to do, but I didn't really have the time to do it, and been blessed during this quarantine to be able to do that. So that's probably for me the biggest thing.
I know I had seen it. I was, organizing all of like different, social media posts and stuff for the right crowd. And I remember you sent it, and I think I watched it like at 2:30 in the morning. And I was like, I'm gonna see, let me watch it. And I ended up watching the entire thing, and I was just so pumped and so excited. So that's definitely gonna be part of like my own like workout, like warm up and things. Just, like listening to the story, doing the exercises. It's really cool, and it is like 100% just interactive. You're getting the entire story read to you when you can do the exercises, and it's so a fun sentiment, for families to do with their kids, older sisters and older brothers to do with their younger siblings. Like it was really awesome. It's just really, really cool.
Cool.
And David Leija, what about yourself? How has, our current world situation, quarantine, and your own author life been, impacted?
It's been difficult, but we've still managed. I've been able to write, like I said, I've been able to write my second book. Also, when COVID first hit, we thought about how to hit this thing head on. And at the beginning, I think it was March or April. I may have the dates wrong, but David and I, we got together with John Bosco at the South Texas Liberty Coalition, and we did like a live reading of our books just to put it out there so the children at home, the parents at home could have something to read, just to give them a small break from reality. And I was really proud to be a part of that with David. It was a great idea, and it was just our way of trying to get back during a tough time. At the same time, even though it's shut down like a lot of our live stuff, I've still kept very close with our friends at Barnes & Noble, the great Katrina Torres, who helped us all out, the Barnes & Noble Katelynn. I go over there as much as I can to sign books, just so they can say like, hey, there's local authors here with signed books. I even went up to Corpus, to the Barnes & Noble over there, just to touch base and at least let them know, hey, we're here. At least I'm making the effort. I know a lot of people, maybe other authors were afraid to go out, but I wanted to at least do that, just to show, hey, I'm here. If you need me, we can do whatever we can. And one thing that we're working on right now, currently, my team and I, as an answer to COVID, we're getting together with the graphic design team, and we're going to turn our book into cartoon form. So that's pretty exciting.
That is super exciting. And I like that you mentioned, like the read-alongs that you were able to partner with STLC and, create something like that. I think that's a really positive thing that can come out, from something like this. It can, really get you down not being in person and not doing a lot of things. But the fact that there are tools and resources to keep reaching readers and families and audiences, it's really cool. And I have a couple comments coming in as you all were speaking. I know for Patty York Raymond, Northopolis, who is Ray Banda, a local author, says, way to go, Patty. Songs can be very beneficial.
Thank you.
And Raul Martinez Jr. says, Katelynn, thank you for helping publicize these authors. In fact, this is the first time I've heard of XO and Psy. Thank you for watching.
Hey, awesome.
And this is what it's all about, getting that exposure, continuing to promote. And I'm so glad that you're able to hear about it, Raul. The book is beautiful. The message is amazing. And I'm so glad that you all can be here joining. And if you have any questions, absolutely comment. You want to say some other things, say hi. Northopolis also says, that's awesome about the cartoon, David Leija. So we've got some good interaction going on. And if you have any questions, go ahead and drop in the comments. We're going to continue on with the Q&A. And my next question is, what is the easiest or most difficult part about writing or being an author? And this can extend to all sorts of things. Is it the actual writing process? Is it marketing? Because I know that's a sticky subject for a lot of us in terms of how do I market? How do I do this? Is it, getting the book out there? Is it, maybe book cover? Or what do you think is some of the easiest aspects or the most difficult for people who might not know about the author process and our journey?
I'll go. I think the easiest process is just coming up with your idea and breaking it down into smaller, cohesive bits and pieces that make up an interesting story. To me, the creative aspect is the easiest. Now, the most difficult part is when you submit it, you have to wait a long time. It seems like an eternity, anywhere from 15 months on till you finally get the book in your hands or it's out in bookstores. So being patient enough, and that's always the tough part for me, because once you finish a project, you just want to see it. Marketing, of course, is always touchy. The paperwork involved as well, keeping tabs on where your books are and the invoicing and all of that. So the ABCs to Ranching is in museums and bookstores and independent stores as well. So is It's Too Windy. So keeping tabs on all of that. And the traveling is difficult as well. Right now, of course, we're not doing any of that, which makes me miss it. But it takes a toll, especially if you travel all over the place. I go to Houston, San Antonio, and I've gone to California. So yeah, I'm getting rest now. So I'll be ready to go out there once, this whole thing is lifted. So yeah.
Very nice. And David Norec, what do you think some of the easiest or most difficult aspects of writing and authorship are?
Probably the most difficult is getting the book out there. Seems like everybody I show the book to or explain about it, they say, it's an awesome idea and they love it. And, we need more books like this. And why isn't this in stores? And I'm like, I'm trying. So that's very difficult. I saw a TikTok where some guy put a very profitable side hustle is writing children's books and selling them. And I'm like, really? You're putting on here that it's very easy to make thousands of dollars a month. I'm like, no, it's not that easy. And so that's been really challenging, because for me as an English major and an English teacher, the writing part of it, it's that wasn't too difficult for me, but it's everything else, the marketing, the advertising, the finding somebody to illustrate it, all that kind of stuff. That for me is probably the most difficult, most challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And David Leija, any of the easiest or most difficult aspects of writing and authorship?
I think honestly, believe it or not, the easiest part was just writing the story, putting it together. The difficult part, and that's something I think we've all touched on, and what I would shout out to any young authors or even older authors, aspiring authors, is having the fire and the hustle to push through it, to really get it out there, because you're going to have good and bad days. There's times where you can be at a huge convention where there's thousands of people, or there could be times when you go to a small event and maybe there's like 5 or 6 people. But the key is, and I've been to some of those where, let's just say, out of the whole day, maybe like 10 people show up. But one thing that I look at and I tell my team at, any place we've been at, we've sold at least one book. And I always tell the guys, you can make one sale. I go, it was a good day. Especially if you're the only author that day that sold a book, because we keep track of all that. And that's the way. You've got to have that grit to push through those days, because there's going to be good, bad. But either way, you're going to get there. And that's what I see. Because I've seen it from some other authors. You don't see that fire. And that's something you got to have, and that's something that you got to have from within yourself, and you've got to push yourself to get through that.
And I think a common theme here, especially like among you all here in this interactive read-alongs panel, is that you all have like a message to share in the stories and in the books. And even if you go to that event, and as long as you can reach, one reader with the story and pass on that message to just one child, one student, one family, that's where that fire comes from, where the authors who are like really passionate about spreading the message, making sure that connection is made, and that's absolutely present here in you all. And you can see like the passion that you have for your work and for the messages you're trying to spread, and it's something really, really wonderful. And again, I'm so happy that you all could be here and like we could get into these conversations and have these questions and have these answers coming up. So again, I see people on Facebook leaving hearts and likes and everything. So if you have any questions or just want to say hi, go ahead and comment, and we will absolutely answer and give insight. The authors will give their answers. And moving on to the next question is, This one's a little bit more on the personal side. I would like to ask you all, do you have any other hobbies besides writing? Like, maybe you've discovered something in quarantine. Maybe you have like a secret hidden talent of making like crochet turtles or something. I don't know. So have you like come up with, what other hobbies do you like to do besides from writing? What other things pique your interest and you like to spend your time on? Patty?
I love arts and crafts. So I love to paint. I love to knit, but I don't know a lot of stitches. I just know one. And so it becomes a long scarf. Everything's a scarf. But I've also started, don't laugh. I also started with Tai Chi. And I'm really, really enjoying it. It's meditative. I feel like I've done something for myself. So just a lot of that, the Tai Chi, the painting, the reading. I've enjoyed doing a lot of that. I've just got a treadmill, guys, and I'm going to do a little bit of that for myself. I'm going to set a timer for an hour a day. Don't hold me to it. An hour a day, and that's going to be time for me and my audiobooks. So yeah, that's what I'm going to start doing. So yeah.
I love it. And I love that you're starting Tai Chi. Today, October 10th, is actually World Mental Health Day.
Yeah.
So for Tai Chi and for being, meditative and everything, I know I started a couple months ago, and I will admit, it gets a little bit difficult to keep up. And I had a whole regimen like every day, every morning, every evening. And then it gets, life happens. But I'm so I'm just so happy that, you're getting that started. And for the treadmill, be sure to pick up Exo and Psy and do some exercises and keep that going. And I do have a comment coming in from a local author, Natividad Carrillo, saying, "What an awesome panel. Hey, David, Patty, and David Norec."
Hi, Nati.
What's up, Natividad?
And she says, "Yeah, an hour a day keeps the weight away." Congratulations.
Yay.
So what about our other two authors, David Norec? What are some hobbies that you have outside of writing and authorship?
So aside from crocheting turtles, which I have a herd of turtles now, I love being outdoors. By the way, that was an inside office joke. I don't know if you got that, Katelynn. Yes. When Michael told Pam, let's move like a herd of turtles. So I like being outdoors. So I like fishing, playing golf, just going on nature hikes, anything outdoors. I hate being indoors. And when the whole quarantine hit, and they had that shelter in place, I'm like, no, I don't want to be indoors all day long. And so yeah, anything outdoors, anything I can do that involves exercise or any kind of sport, I love doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. And when you said right now the Office reference, I understood, and I just immediately thought of Michael. Where are the turtles? Where are they? So anyone in Facebook or YouTube, if you're an Office fan, leave a comment. We'll all celebrate. Yes. And we'll all bond over that. And David, Leija, any hobbies that you do aside from writing and authorship?
Well, aside from writing, my other passion is the charity work that we do with TKO. That pretty much keeps me busy. Just using the gains from what we do with the brand, so I can give back to my community, to organizations like the food pantry here in San Benito, Loaves and Fishes in Arlington, the Catholic Charities in McAllen, also the animal shelters. We do a lot with the animal shelters, so that pretty much keeps me pretty much tied down.
I love it. I think it's a testament to, your book's message, just the being kind and sharing, with what you have with everyone, maybe people that might not have the ability or resources, like being able to lend that helping hand and keep those connections. It's really wonderful. And my next question would be more towards the future of what do you see for your future pertaining to writing or otherwise. These could be professional goals. These could be goals for the books that you have, either in, the next coming months, next year, 5 years, 10 years. Just what do you all see in the future for yourselves, and what are you working towards? Patty?
Well, I'm an education consultant. I do that as well, and case management business. So I'm considering, like in 3 years down the road, just concentrating on writing at that point. But Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing. Going back to the messages of the books, I'm not sure I mentioned that it's to Wendy. The message is to control the distractions that kids have nowadays and spend time together to form close family ties. With the ABCs to ranching, since David mentioned going outdoors, it has to do a lot with helping kids appreciate nature. There's that father-son bond that's so very important. And what I also wanted to stress and highlight were those cultural elements of the vaquero and everything that they brought to us, the language, the food, the tools of the trade, all of those wonderful things. So I did want to highlight that. And with Aspire, what I wanted to do was just point out, first of all, the mother and daughter relationship, right? But also point out the non-traditional careers that girls can aspire to get into. And if you notice on the cover of the book, it had Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So every activity in that particular scene in the book, the mother and daughter are actually marching for awareness, equality, and social justice. And so she's dressed as Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because that's what she stood for. And so you'll see that throughout the book, and that's the message that I want to portray. So yeah, down the road, I want to really focus on writing children's books, possibly a novel, I don't know, a series of chapter books. So I'm exploring quite a few things. I enjoy the creative aspect of it, and then the interaction of the kids after we read the book and we get up to sing and dance. So it has all those elements that make for a happy time. So yeah, that's what I want to continue to do.
I love it. And I love just like the messages. There's so like every single one of your books has a different like message, and they all tie back to us like certain thread, and just getting those, because these are conversations that children don't, and if someone else doesn't start it, they won't really talk about it on their own. And so opening their minds to this, thought of social justice and equality early, and in a way that's through literature and reading and invoking that as well, it's beautiful. And I'm rooting for novel plans. That would be so awesome. And I know just you're going to continue to put out beautiful work, and I know that you will. I'm excited to see what happens with that. And David Norec, any ideas and future plans for yourself and your authorship?
Yeah, I plan on writing. Right now, it looks like a series of 7 books. So the next book will be called The Adventures of Arrow, which is a little girl, and her cat Bix. So The Adventures of Aerobics. And in that next book, it's still going to take place in OB City, and they're going to chase after Candy Kane and her best friend Marsha Mello. So they're going to be going after sweets in the next book, and so they'll alternate Exo and Psy, then Arrow and Bix, until the final book where Exo and Psy and Arrow and Bix come together to finally defeat Mayor Diane Beatties, and that's when the chief of police, Chief Will Ness or Wellness, will take over, and we'll start turning everything back into being healthy. But so I plan and I plan on releasing. I know this year kind of messed everything up, but I want to release a new book every November, coinciding with 2 things. Number 1, National Diabetes Awareness Month, and number 2, my sister who passed away, her birthday is November 17th. So I want to release every new book on November 17th on her behalf.
That's beautiful and wonderful as well. And I'm always blown away with the little names that I know it might seem like a small detail to some, but for me, I'm always like, look, Arrow and Bit. I get so excited that you're so creative with
the
it.
Marsha Mello one, that was actually given to me in one of my school visits. I always ask the kids, hey, do you guys have any ideas for another character? And a little boy at, I think it was Ramirez Elementary in Edinburgh, said, what about Marsha Mello? I'm like, dude, I'm using that. Thank you so much.
I love it. And I think it's a testament to, as, authors, we're always pulling ideas, we get just as much out of the student interactions as they get when we visit. And so that's awesome. That's wonderful. And I do also have Ana Cavasso saying, hello, fellow authors, and to your future stories. She says, sweet to what's going to happen with the future EXO and Psy franchise, which is very nice. And yourself, David Leija, any things that you're working towards the future and any goals and that you're aspiring to?
Yeah, we have a lot going on right now as far as the future for TK's First Lesson. As I mentioned before, book 2 I've already written. So our artist, Stevie Cortez, is going to start working on the artwork. We're looking at probably a release maybe 2021, more than likely. And just to give a little sneak preview, that book, the lesson behind that book will deal with the anxieties of the first day of school with our little animal friends. and then tying into that, something that we have planned, we're continuing to push the current book, as far as marketing wise, here within the Valley, also with the brick and mortars. We're lucky enough to be at Barnes & Noble, barnesandnoble.com. We've also gotten it into Target.com, Walmart.com, which we're very proud of. And tying back to what I told you guys about the cartoon, we're also going to work for book 2 and even the books after that. We're working on putting them all into cartoon form so we can get it out there, on a visual audio level too, not just the physical book itself. And also working on an actual plush line, which you see here. We've got the 2 brothers, but I'm going to work on doing a plush line of all 10 characters that are within the book. And then to take it a step further, when we do our visits right now, we do have, he's not here today. I know some of you guys have seen him. We have PK the Tiger who shows up with us. But we're also showing up. I'm gonna purchase a full suit of each character, like that later down the road when we show up to schools. We might take all of them to go and do an interactive story with the children.
That is so awesome. I could just imagine like all the students like sitting and waiting and then just like a parade of like the character. That is so fun and that is so exciting. And I do have a couple more comments. Ana Cavasso says, I love getting ideas from kids. Best resources. Very true. And another local author who was on a previous panel, Ruben Degollado, says, hey, friends.
Hey, Ruben, what's up?
Hi. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching and thank you for being here. Ana Cavazos, thank you for commenting and thank you for your love and support. And anyone watching, if you, we do still have a little bit of time, or not even a little bit, quite a bit of time for the panel. So if you have any questions or would like to say anything, any comments, go ahead and leave comments and we can continue having these amazing, amazing conversations. And my next question would be, kind of like how David Norec had said, if this would have been one of your answers, I'm sorry, if you'd like to repeat it, feel free. But, do you have any like interesting or like close to your heart stories like throughout your experiences as an author? It could be as you were writing the book, maybe an epiphany happened, or the process of getting it published. Maybe it was that first time you saw the book, or maybe at a visit or event you had an interaction with someone. Just, do you have any stories close to your heart that you'd like to share throughout your author career? Patty?
Well, I will say, in case anyone's wondering how I got the idea for It's Too Windy, my inspiration was, let's see if you can see it, my family. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So they're represented in this book, It's Too Windy. And I'll tell you a little story behind that. When my parents retired, they got a pool built in and they're going to go, they said, oh, okay, all the grandkids are going to be able to come and we'll see everybody. The only thing is that every time the kids wanted to get in, my mother was always sweeping around the pool. And just like this grandmother is doing, right? And she would say, the kids would come out and she would say, oh, it's too cloudy. You really can't get in right now. Another time it'd be too sunny, or it looks like it's going to rain. And then when she said it was too windy, I laughed and I said, Mom, because it's based on them, right? I said, Mom, I can't believe it. It's too funny. I'm going to have to write a book about that. So that was always in the back of my mind. And so I named it It's Too Windy. And it's about my family, my parents, and my nieces and nephews and my kids. And so that's how that book came to be. And it all has to do with family for me. The ABCs to Ranching, it's about my husband and son and all the adventures they would get into. Of course, I would hear about what David got into at the ranch. But it was just a wonderful bonding time for them. And while they were away, Jessica and I, through the book of Aspire, we did a lot of things during the weekends. And so I just wanted, to kind of share our stories and, stories live on. forever and ever, and hopefully they inspire others to write and to share their stories. I forgot what the question was. Did I answer it?
Yes, you answered. Yes, it was perfect. Any like close to your heart aspects
Yeah.
of like your entire writing career. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
I will say there was a tenacious teacher who swallowed a sticker. That's for all the wonderful teachers out there who do everything and anything they can to help their kids learn and be safe. And so that's going to be extremely funny. I know all my books have to do with a lot of literacy skills and rhyming words and vocabulary, but there was a tenacious teacher is going to add an element of growing patterns to it. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's to come. And
Thanks.
David Norec, any interesting or close to your heart stories about writing and authorship?
Yeah, two come to mind. Number one, I think when we write a book, we really don't know what impact it's going to have, if it's even going to be accepted or whatnot. And I think it was 2017. There was auditions for Shark Tank in San Antonio, and I went over there, and I didn't even have a physical book. In fact, the day of me auditioning, my illustrator that very night or the very night before, he had finally finished the ebook. So that's all I had. I had my laptop and the ebook, and then I wake up and I'm ready to go and present, and all of a sudden I realize that I forgot my clothes that I was going to wear here in the valley, and I'm in San Antonio, and I'm just thinking, I'm not going to go through with this. Everything is stacked up against me. I'm not going to do it. I said, you know what? But at the end, I said, you know what? I'm just going to go and, what can happen, right? And so I went and I presented in front of a gentleman, I guess one of the producers, and he loved the idea. And then they took the next steps for me to get on the show. That was, confirmation of, wow, like, I was listening to when God put that idea in my heart, and this book might actually impact somebody. And then secondly, one of my last school visits in Donna, I have a Q&A kind of like this with the kids after I present. And one of the little girls raised her hand, and I asked her what her question was. And she said, no, I just want to tell you, and this is, I think she was probably a third grader. She said, no, I just want to tell you that I have diabetes. And oh my gosh, that, that melted my heart. And I'm thinking, okay, then this is what I need to do. I don't care how much money I get paid to get out, or if I get paid anything to go out and present in front of these kids. I need to go out and present the message and try to stop some of these, especially young ones, from getting diabetes.
Wonderful. And like, it's those, connections. And like, I like how you said, even if it feels like, the odds are stacked against us, like you got to persevere, and you never know what can come out of an experience. And, it's the tough things that make you stronger, and overcoming them, you kind of get that, resilience of it's happened before. The odds were stacked against me. I can do it again. And, exactly like that, like setting the example, for young readers and young students, that even if it's hard, just push through and look at what can happen. Look at what can occur.
Yep.
Yeah, I like what Dave said when he said, what's the worst that can happen? Exactly. Taking that kind of an attitude, I think, is good. So kudos to you, David. Yeah.
Thank you.
And David, Leija, do you have any close to your heart stories or interactions throughout your writing career and authorship?
Well, pretty much every time that I know that my book, whether the child buys it or not, but even if they just read it, if I know that my book hits a child's hands, or even a parent's too, a lot of parents have picked it up. Once I know that it hits their hands, I get a real jolt of inspiration, knowing that it's gonna help them hopefully see the world in a different way. And if that does happen, then I know that we've done our job. It's gonna help them see the world like that in a different way, and it's gonna help them go out there and spread love and positivity. And at the beginning of my book, I write, I go, if you learn to read, I go, you'll change your mind. But if you learn to love, you're going to change the world. And I really believe it.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that sentiment. It's truly beautiful. And I did have a comment come in while Patty York Raymond was speaking from the library channel over on YouTube saying, Tenacious Teacher sounds fun.
It will be.
I just love the title, The Tenacious Teacher Who Swallowed a Sticker. Like the alliteration, and like just, it sounds fun. It sounds dynamic.
It actually goes, there was a tenacious teacher who swallowed a sticker. It was a bright star it was a colorful star with sparkling glitter. We don't know why she swallowed the sticker. Perhaps she'll go home sick, you think? So that's how it starts, and it builds and it builds and it builds. So yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun with it.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And that leads me to my next question. Oh, yes?
Oh,
were you going to say something else? I think my audio stuttered. I'm sorry.
no, I was not.
Okay. Well, I got excited. Just that opening line up. I was like, I'm already pumped and excited. But my next question would be for aspiring writers or aspiring authors or anyone interested in writing a book, a children's book, or, they have this message like you all have had and they want to portray it. What advice would you give to them, either from your own experiences or things that you wished you had known, or just any words of wisdom and pieces of advice to aspiring writers and aspiring authors? Patty?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is fantastic. I would tell them that we all have stories to share, and they're no exception. I would tell them that reading and writing go hand in hand. So if they want to improve their writing, they need to continue to read. So I would tell them their writing matters. Now, whether or not they get an audience that is interested in the book, that doesn't matter. What matters is that self-expression, because writing is an art form, and it's just like any other form of expression. Writing is really cathartic. So I would tell them to just continue to write, and journaling is a lot of fun. They get to play with the written word and, again, express themselves without any judgment. So I would just encourage them all the way.
I love it. Wonderful. And David Norec, any advice that you have for aspiring writers or authors?
Yeah, I would say if you can, try to make it, or try to use personal experience to lead the way, because I think it makes the book more valuable, more real. And even if I didn't illustrate the book, and even if you have no ideas on how to illustrate, just write. Don't be afraid, and be careful what voices you allow to get in your head, because there's always going to be people who are going to say, no, what are you doing? No, just if that's in your heart, if that's your dream, just do it. And I think of going back to The Office, BJ Novak wrote a children's book called I think it was The Book with No Pictures, right? And it's blank except for words. And so, and if that can sell a lot of money, not that that's why you should write a book, but just write. Don't be afraid to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. And David Leija, any advice that you have for authors or aspiring writers? I think he might have froze. Oh no. Is it just on my end?
No, I see him frozen.
Okay. I do definitely want to get back to him and have him answer that question. So I'll wait, and when he comes back, I'll allow him to answer. But this next question is something a little bit more on the personal side, just something a little fun and to help us know a little bit more about yourselves. If I were to meet you on the street, what are 3 things that I would find you that you absolutely would not be without, And this could be pre-pandemic, because I know now we say like my mask, my hand sanitizer, and all those things. But if I were to meet you on the street and say, hey, how's it going? What are 3 things that you would have on your person? Patty?
Well, for sure, my iPhone. I've got my audiobooks there. A small notepad with a pen that fits in my purse so I can pull it out and jot things down. And I would like to have, you wouldn't see them, but I would like to have with me their little terrors, but my 3 little puppies, Lady, Duchess, and Rascal. I would like to think that you'd see me with them, but when they all go in different directions, that's not good.
I love it. And David Norec, what about yourself?
You'd probably for sure see me with some kind of Houston Astros either cap or shirt or mask or something. I know Houston Astros is kind of a bad word right now. Hey, there we go. We're not the most popular team right now after what happened. In fact, the book, everything, my cap and everything, it's Astros colors. So you'd see that. You'd see me with my phone. Unfortunately, I'm trying to get away from that, but you would see my phone, and that's where I carry everything. And then probably Picture of me and my little girl on my phone.
I love it. I love it so much. And I'm trying to see if there's any other question. Oh, one thing that I did want to ask, because I know that this one's always like super interesting for myself, because I know there's certain times of the day where I find myself, more for lack of a better word, like, more proactive or more, like productive and things like they're, that 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. I'm like, man, I got so many ideas. Let's go. But what times of the day for you all do you find yourself like, are there certain times of the day that you find writing is easier, or maybe working on certain aspects of authorship? Like you can really, market at this certain time, or you need a certain setting to be able to clear your head to sit down and work. Is there a specific time or setting where you find yourself most productive, Patty?
It all depends on what it is I'm needing to do. If I'm needing to make phone calls, it's got to be before the 5 o'clock. But it's carving out that time. So it's not consistent. I can't say it, although at night I'm a late person. I like to stay up later, and that's when I do a lot of my thinking. So if I had to say for the writing aspect of it, it would be in the evening. But if I needed to touch base with people, bookstores and things like that, it would have to be during the day. I just, I would like to say I do a wonderful job with time management. But in actuality, what I end up doing is just giving myself a couple more hours during the day. So instead of quitting at 6, I quit at 8 or 9 or something like that, and to get everything done. But yeah, I just have to, I'm a list maker. So I have to set the time and the place, and in order for things to get done. So I do have a writing room, by the way. But since I let my dogs in, it turns out, being a cuddle room instead, but but I did set it up to write. So I have everything there that's very motivating for me. But when they sneak in there, it turns into something else.
Very nice. And I see David Leija is back. I think we lost you for a little bit, but hello. So, before I continue with asking David Norec this question, then yourself, David Leija, we can go back to any advice that you would have for aspiring writers or aspiring authors. David Leija, what words of wisdom would you offer?
The number one thing, plain and simple, don't be afraid and just do it. The one thing that I've seen running into like aspiring authors of any age, they're always afraid. The biggest obstacle is fear. I'll tell them, don't be afraid of what anybody might think, and especially even you. Sometimes our biggest enemy is ourselves. So just go out there and do it, and just see what happens.
I love it. I love it. Especially, like sometimes we do have these doubts, whether they're, conscious or not, or deliberate or not. And it's, only you can say yes. Only you can take those steps and continue to pursue. And, as David Norec also mentioned, there's always going to be, one person, two people saying like, really, or are you sure? Or is that really what, And it is kind of difficult not to let those words get to you, but just remembering this is my story. This is what I'm going to tell. And I want this message to be out there. It's definitely a good point to just keep going and believing in yourself with it. And so the question that I had, yes.
What I was going to say, Katelynn, is what I found when we do have these author events, I find that a lot of kids, even adults as well, they come to us and they're having us just reaffirm to them that they can do it. And I feel that most of them do come for that. And I'm glad to do it. And I'm sure everybody else does that. And that's the least we can do to give back in that sense to encourage and let them know we've all been there. We've all had those self-doubts. So, yeah.
Yes, I could not have said it better myself. Just, that ability to give back and like you said, reaffirm. Absolutely. Like, I think it's a beautiful thing, not only to be able to say like, I'm an author and here's my book, but I know those interactions are one of, if not my favorite part, to be able to see these kids and see their aspirations and their goals. And it's an absolute blessing to be the one to say, you can, you can too, you can do it too. Like, go for it. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And the final question, and continuing with it, I had asked, are there certain times or, settings that you feel more productive in terms of writing? I know either late at night or you have to be in a certain headspace or certain area. Like, what time or setting do you find yourself most productive, or where writing helps the most? David Norec?
For me, I like being outdoors. So probably like sunrise time, being outdoors, just listening to the birds and everything, just all the nature around me. And that way that's how I find peace. And then that's when I'm most productive, probably.
I love it. I love it. And just the fact, I thought you were going to say sunset, but when you said sunrise, I was like, dedication to be up and like active and like just, I know for myself, I'll stay up like pretty late, either doing like, normal schoolwork or like things like for the event or my own authorship things. And then before I know it, I'm like 4 a.m. Hold on. Like this wasn't supposed to happen. But, David, Leija, do you have any certain settings or times or areas that writing and being productive helps for yourself?
I like to write at night the majority of the time, but if not, what I'll usually do, I carry my journal with me like all the time in the car, anywhere I'm at. So anytime I'll get an idea or even like a few lines, I'll just jot them down like right there. Something about my book, I grew up a big Dr. Seuss fan. So my book is written in the Dr. Seuss style. So it's a lot of rhyming. So I get just like a rapper anywhere I'm at. If I get a few lines, a few rhymes, I'll just jot them down right there just to make sure I got them.
I love it. And I think that's also really good advice for, having a journal and having a notebook, because inspiration strikes at, we have no idea. It's unexpected. And I think people who journal, there's a lot of content there. Like David Norec had said, putting in your own personal experiences. You never know what you might go through or what you might experience to contribute to the next story or the next children's book or the next novel. And so I like that, like having the notebook in order to always be ready to, oh, there we go. So yes, but thank you to everyone who was watching on Facebook and YouTube. Again, if you have like any final things to say, if you want to pop in and say hi, go ahead. And I want to thank all of our panelists here as well. These were great conversations, and just I was so excited to be able to bring you all here and just discuss and talk, because your books truly do have that extra added element that, Patty York Raymond, you have these songs, and the family, does the dances, and they can, students can sing and they can have fun, and it's dynamic and it ties back to the story. David Norec, just the fact that there's this extra, the exercise, and I know I've said it like 7 times, but the names and how like it all, I love it so much. And, the interactiveness where you have, that professional coach and a YouTube video out where families can do it at home and they're still reading the story. They're still getting the message, and it's truly wonderful. And David, Leija, I love at the end that actually built into the book is that anti-bullying pledge, that these children can see, what, these are the steps that I want to take. I'm making this promise to myself and everyone else to be kind and continue celebrating diversity and things. It's truly, truly beautiful. And before we sign off, I would like to have you all give, one last shout out of yourselves, your books, and where we can find you after this. Amazon, any social media or any websites to plug and share to Facebook and YouTube world. You feel free to go ahead and do that now, starting with Patty York Raymond.
All right. Okay. Well, you can find me at pattyraymondbooks.com. And on my site, you can find all the different, some of the places where you can get my books. Again, big bookstores, independent bookstores, museums, and, just everywhere, Amazon. You can find them. If you want an autographed copy, just contact me and send a message to me through the website, and I can certainly get one out to you. In terms of the songs, they can all be downloaded from your favorite music platform. Again, the songs are Take Me to the Ranch by Nathan Mathis, That's What My Grandma Said by Eddie Cavazos, and Aspire by Julissa Figueroa.
Wonderful. And David Norec, where can we?
Oh, I was going to say in terms of social media, Facebook, Twitter, I'm all there.
Yes, wonderful. And David Norec, and where can we find you after this?
As for me, just go on davidnorec.com, find all the information there. I'm working on getting the ebook out for free, as well as the YouTube where you can do the exercises. And I just wanted to say that November is National Diabetes Awareness Month. And so I've teamed up this year with the South Texas Juvenile Diabetes Association. And so all throughout the month of November, if you buy a book, which will be personally signed by me at $15, $5 of those dollars will go directly to the South Texas Juvenile Diabetes Associations, who are doing an amazing job with dealing with young kids who have diabetes. And so yeah, they can reach me at davidnorec.com or just xonsci@gmail.com. Send me an email and I'll do whatever I can to help you out. And thank you so much, Katelynn, for doing this.
Yes, of course. And awesome. That's so wonderful. The partnership in November. That I'm looking forward to seeing more from that and more about that. That's interesting. And David Leija, where can we find you after this and TK's first lesson?
Once again, Katelynn, thank you once again. I can't stress it enough for the wonderful platform that you've provided for all of us. You can learn more about us on the web, as far on tkomovement.com. Here in the Valley at home, as far as like brick and mortar, you can find us at Barnes & Noble in McAllen, the shop with a little bit of everything in San Benito, and the Storybook Garden in Wesco. Online, you can find us through barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com, walmart.com, target.com.
Wonderful. And thank you all again so very much for being here. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I could make a panel such as this. I can't stress enough how unique the books here in terms of like the interactiveness and that extra added, spice. And just that you all could be here and I could say hi and say hello and we could celebrate books and celebrate literacy. We may be apart, but we're here together and we're still celebrating and still promoting. And it's something truly wonderful. So I did have a final comment from the library channel on YouTube saying great conversations and advice. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and everyone on Facebook and everyone on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for dropping your comments. I hope you enjoyed. I know I had so much fun with the conversations and learning more and hearing more about future projects. And so thank you again. And this is not the end. This is the second weekend of The Right Crowd. We have another panel at 4:00, 2 more panels tomorrow. And if you want to rewatch the panels, see all about Patty York Raymond and David Norec and David Leija all over again, you can find the panels to be rewatched on author Katelynn Rentería on YouTube, author Katelynn Rentería on Facebook, and author KatelynnRenteria.com/The Right Crowd. And Ana Cavazos is saying congratulations on all your successes. Thank you, Ana.
Thank you, Ana.
So thank you again
Bye,
so
David.
very much.
Bye, David.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.